Welcome to the Oxford Public Schools School Committee meeting of Monday, May 23rd, 2022, 6 p.m. Please note, face coverings and masks are optional in all school buildings until further notice. Regular school committee meetings are videotaped by Oxford Cable Access and broadcast live on the town's public access educational cable channel 194, which is also streamed live on the Town of Oxford website, Cable Access webpage. Video recordings of regular meetings may also be viewed subsequent to the live broadcast via the town's YouTube channel, which may be accessed from either the Town of Oxford website or the Oxford Public School website. Thank you. So I would like to call the meeting to order. What an exciting night for us. We have some really great first graders in front of us, but we just have to wait a second. We do have a little bit of business to do real quick, and then we're going to get right to you all. But we do have to reorganize the school committee, as we just had an election a few weeks ago, so we do have to reorganize the school committee. We do need to vote for a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. So we will take nominations for the chair.
I nominate Dave as the chair.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you very much, committee members. I really appreciate your faith in me. We do need to nominate a vice chair.
I'll nominate Corey Burke.
I'll second.
All right, we have a nomination and a second. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And I'm a yes too. Welcome back,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Burke. Thank you.
Thank you both.
And we do need to nominate a secretary.
I'll nominate Mrs. Griffin.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a nomination, a second. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so 5. Thank you, Mrs. Griffin, and welcome back.
Thank you for that.
Wow, that was quick. So let's do one other quick thing. Can we approve the 2022-2023 meeting dates? We do have our school committee dates that were in the packet.
I'll make a motion to accept the calendar for meetings for next year.
We have a motion.
Second it.
We have a second. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke? And I'm a yes. All right, one other thing, and then we're gonna get to you, I promise. Public comment. We do need to open the floor for public comment. Comments are limited to topics relating to school business. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address and will be allowed to speak up to 3 minutes. Although the school committee may hear comments on unanticipated topics, discussion or action on topics not specifically listed on the agenda will be postponed until a future meeting date. So at this point, I would like to open the floor for public comment.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kim Davis, 21 Page Lane, outgoing OEA president.
Tom, incoming OEA president.
And as the outgoing and the incoming OEA presidents, we would like to recognize all of the dedicated teachers who have poured their heart, soul, and education to the students in the community here. We would like to thank the community, the students, and the other bargaining units for their support of the Oxford school teachers. We are asking for a reasonable contract that recognizes our dedication to the Oxford schools. Go Red. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Are any other comments from the public? There is a second public comment towards the end. So seeing and hearing no one come forward, we will close the floor for public comment. And special presentation time. We'd like to take this a little bit out of order, so I'd ask Mr. Pelzarski, the principal of Chafee School, to come up and talk to us a little bit about this grade 1 book presentation.
All right, super simple. I got my first preview of this the other day. They switched it up a little bit after my amazing feedback, right, Mrs. Rodier? Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. They do this, they haven't been able to come before you in a couple years. They publish a book every year in Miss Rodier's class, and it's always a positive, fun event, and they're excited to present it to you tonight. I hope some of you have a copy in front of you. And with that, I'll give it over to the boss there, Mrs. Rodier.
Thank you for having us tonight. We totally appreciate it. You've got some exciting kids here. Very exciting. So, first grade is an important year filled with exciting academic skills. The progress from writing words to becoming writers is evident within the pages of this book. Congratulations to our class on writing an amazing book that provides a glimpse of what first grade is.
First grade is where I learned Pluto is not a planet. It is oval and does not have its own orbit path. Now it is called a dwarf planet. Poor Pluto by Maddox C. First grade is filled with different kinds of books. My favorite is a fantasy because animals act like humans. These books are always really funny and make me laugh. By Madam. Fourth grade is where I learned about the American flag. It stands for freedom. I learned to hold it in a triangle when it is put away. I love our flag by Emma. First grade is where I learned the order of the planets from the sun. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Sun, Uranus, Neptune. Or another way to remember, my very excited mother just served us nachos by King. First grade math is a lot of fun. We make super long number straws. We learn to count very high. My goal is to reach 2,000 or infinity by growing. First grade is where I learned how hot the sun is. It is over 10,000 degrees. It is so big it could fit 1 million Earths inside it. I love the warm sun by Aria. First grade is where I learned about penguins. Penguins have a layer of fat called blubber. Blubber keeps them warm in the cold water. I know a lot about penguins now by Isabel. First grade is where I learned about digraph. A digraph is two consonants together that make one sound. CH, SH, and TH or digraph. Sums up for digraph by Cody. Fourth grade is where I learned about graphs. We get data and make graphs to show our results. I like bar graphs and tally graphs the best by Hunter. First grade is where I learned about Christmas holidays around the world. Did you know that in Mexico, kids crack open a piñata to get gifts, and in France, kids put out their shoes to get gifts? I like to learn about different traditions by Thomas. First grade is where we have centers every day. My favorite is sentence scramble. We have to put words in the correct order to make a sentence. It can be hard, but I like it. Bye, Tristan. with the direction of the northeast south of Antelope. Or never way to remember is never eat soggy waffles. First grade is where I learned about George Washington. He was our first president. He is so famous that his picture is on a quarter and a dollar bill by Max B. First grade is where I learned how to write an opinion. First, I write how I feel. Next, I give reasons for my opinion. It is fun to write about what I love. And I love first grade.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Thank
Thank you, Mrs. Rodier. That was outstanding.
I think I got a tear a little bit there. Thumbs up for digraphs. We love that. That was fabulous.
That was fabulous.
Oh my God. Makes all this other stuff so worth it, doesn't it? I don't know about that. But we'll go with it.
It's nice to see all the stuff that you're learning.
I mean, that's crazy. That really is such a variety, too. He is so famous. And he even said so famous.
Yeah.
So cute.
Okay.
That was outstanding. I love first grade. I always thought kindergarten, first grade.
How'd you end up in 6th? Glutton for punishment?
2 degrees of math. Seal the deal.
Mr. P?
We started with preschool.
Mr. P. Someone's keys there?
Yeah, they can't park.
Oh, there she is. Got it.
All right, I don't know about the rest of our committee, but that certainly was my favorite
Man,
meeting
right?
of the year so far.
Right?
So awesome to watch the energy and the enthusiasm and the young children. So thank you so much, Mr. Pelzarski, Mrs. Rodier. Great job. So we are going to take a little bit, going to go out of order a little bit on our agenda. What I would like to pass over this part of the meeting to Mr. Burke, who's a assistant principal himself, and he's going to make a special presentation to Mrs. Christine Hutchinson.
Hi. So it is my honor to just to take a moment to recognize this award. For those of you who don't know, the Massachusetts School Administrators Association does a few awards each year, but one of them is the Assistant Principal of the Year Award. And we're extremely proud to say that this year that award has been presented to one of our very own. I'm just going to read a few things here from MSAA. It does say for the Assistant Principal of the Year Award, the Assistant Principal of the Year program recognizes outstanding assistant principals who have succeeded in providing high-quality learning opportunities for students, as well as demonstrating exemplary contributions to the profession. I was able to read the submission for Mrs. Hutchinson and just wanted to point out that some of the things that she highlighted I find to be truly some of the best qualities of any administrator, but certainly as an assistant principal. Her top things are, number one is building relationships, and you can't say enough about taking the time to build relationships with your students, with your staff, with your families. And my understanding, my experience with Mrs. Hutchinson is she does just that. And number two being communication. And we all know that communication is key, and that helps keep things running smoothly. And I can tell you from talking with Mr. Quinn too, that I know that Mrs. Hutchinson is truly deserving of this award. So we have for you tonight, congratulations. The Town of Oxford School Committee takes great pride in presenting this certificate to you, Kristen Hutchinson, in recognition of her well-deserved designation as the 2022 Assistant Principal of the Year and National Outstanding Assistant Principal. with sincere congratulations on this honorable achievement. So, Ms. Hutchinson, if you don't mind coming forward.
Congratulations once again, and thank you, Mr. Burke, great job. I'm just gonna put the handbooks on hold. I do wanna turn the floor over to our student representative. This is her last meeting. Molly does have a commitment to get to, so I'm gonna turn it over to Molly Raymond to give the Oxford High School and OMS report, and then also introduce the new student representative, Miss Genevieve Bartlett. So it's all yours, Molly.
The OMS update for the NJHS, 15 new 6th and 7th graders have been accepted into the NJHS at the middle school. They are very excited to welcome the new members and celebrate them at their induction ceremony this Wednesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Congratulations to them. For the middle school student council, they are wrapping up their school year and holding their elections for the next year's board this week. For chorus, the chorus and band have completed their spring concert last Thursday. They had a great fake intake sale as well. Thank you to Mr. Generico for the concert video that is available on the OHS Productions YouTube channel. And the Oxford High School is having their concerts this week, with band being on Tuesday and chorus on Thursday, both at 6:30. The middle school yearbooks are still on sale for $25, and orders this year are online only. For the Library and Media Center, Children's Books Week was celebrated May 2nd through 6th. Along with all kinds of books-related activities, they had a Get Caught Reading Challenge for the whole school. This was where staff were given bookmarks, and if they caught a student reading fun books anytime during the week, the staff member would give them a bookmark. And at the end of the week, the students were able to come to the library to redeem their books for small prizes. Also, teachers and staffs were able to contribute their favorite books, and they put them on mini posters that were hung up in the library so the students could see their teacher's favorite books. For the high school, the cultural enrichment is heading to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland in April of 2023. They hope to raise $2,000 for tips and for a bus that will allow them to go to and from the Logan Airport. So they are collecting bottles and cans for them to redeem. Please email Miss Nugent if you would like her to pick up cans or bottles that you have. The freshman class had another successful fundraiser with nothing but cakes. These cakes will be delivered sometime next week. The seniors are close to graduation. They held their junior-senior prom this past Friday at Cyprian Keys. It had a great attendance and everyone had a good time. The senior finals are this week, and then graduation practice is next week with graduation on June 3rd. And we would like to thank everyone for all the support that you have given us for the past few years. And lastly, the Student Council held their new e-board elections last week. The new Student Council president and student representative is Genevieve Bartlett. Yay.
Members, any questions for Molly?
Just to thank you. Thank you, Molly. It's been great having you there. You've done a great job representing the students.
We appreciate all your time too, Molly. I know it's not always easy, so thank you. And you're always very informative, so I love that. We'll miss you. Although, welcome, Genevieve. We're happy to have you.
Two things before you go, Molly. Please tell us again where you're going next year, what you're going to be studying, if you know that already.
I'm going to UMass Amherst to study civil engineering.
Nice. Awesome.
Good for you.
Well, good luck with that. And I just, on behalf of the whole board, we want to thank you for your participation at the school committee meetings this year and all the, like Mrs. Forbes said, all the great information, but also you were part of our superintendent search last year, and you were a really, really great member on that. So we want to thank you. We have a little gift as you exit out here, because I know you got to head off to another event. So thank you very much. Come on up and get your gift. Good luck, Molly. Great job.
All right. Bye, Molly.
All right. Mr. Pelzarski and Mr. Quinn, 2022-2023 Family Student Elementary Handbooks.
think Helen probably sent you guys an email just stating that there's not really a lot of changes in the handbook from year to year. We come here and we don't make major changes at the elementary school handbook. We review it every year. This year we did it with our school councils, just to vet it. Really nothing major came of it. I don't know if you guys had any questions or if there was anything you wanted to bring, but.
No, and I just want to obviously thank Helen when she said, would you mind if I reformatted it for you? Both Rob and I couldn't type back fast enough, yes. So, thank you again, and it's
in the
cleaned
same
up, and
format
it
now,
looks
yep.
better, the presentation, obviously, all that, but like Rob said, there's not a heck of a lot of changes. The policy changes that you folks make are obviously added in the back, but everything else pretty much status quo, so, but more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Members, any questions, comments?
Well, I think it's beautiful, and I appreciate all the hard work that Helen did, and also your school councils to look through this. This is more of like an overarching comment. We don't have the middle school, high school handbook to compare this handbook to, but one thing that has been brought to my attention is the performance levels for the schools on grades 15 when we get into report cards. I think it would be helpful for parents if there was consistent language throughout the whole district as far as the scales that we use. I know some things are standards based and that, that doesn't necessarily transcribe from an elementary school to a middle school model, but levels of performance maybe as far as, sometimes maybe conduct or different things, if they could be more universal throughout the district, it might be less confusing for parents. So just something to reflect upon.
You guys have any comment on that, or that you wanna?
The assessment, it's pretty much been the same since I've been here. We tweak it a little bit with the preschool when they were with me. I think we take for granted that we spend so much time with the parents at the beginning of the year with our open houses and our Know Your School nights, that I think we try to, I can't speak for third and fourth grade, but I know the communication's there. Parents tend to tend to send a lot of questions after report cards are issued, so I think our teachers are expecting of that and answer them quickly. I never have, one of the things I'm very proud of at Chafee is I never have parents say, get replies to emails, because that's number one on our agenda. I probably assume it's similar to yours, so.
Yeah, I mean, usually questions that come up with that would go to the classroom teacher, and they would, clear it up with the families. I don't get a lot of specifics to myself, but I certainly see your point, and something we can discuss it, in the future, 100%.
I guess, I think part of what I thought you were saying initially, and I get it, K-2 doesn't have MCAS, but are you just talking about capturing the language the same, the rubric, essentially?
As much as we can do to kind of make language in the district consistent, I think would be helpful. And again,
So you see what she's saying, so instead of the 4-3-2-1 in K-2, because it's the exceeds, meets, approaching, area of concern.
and
Just,
these,
I guess aligning the language, I guess, is what she's asking to be considered.
and you know what, again, like this is just one perspective. I would love to hear the teachers weigh in on this and everybody weigh in on this. And, it's always, I think it's just part of good practice for us to reflect upon things if we can improve. And if it's something that they feel like very strongly should stay, then I'd love to hear that. I know as myself personally as a parent, sometimes I need a lot of help, and I get these report cards and I might not necessarily see the description on the report card or coming, and sometimes things being on Power School are difficult because it might not be there easily for parents to see laid out. So I know you folks are great with communication, but when you have multiple kids in multiple places, your brain gets scrambled easily. Mine does anyways. So having uniformity, it might help, but then again, there might be a very valid reason why that's not appropriate, and it would be helpful for me as a parent to have this maybe put with our Power School, and if I'm overseeing it, like missing it, that's possible too. But I feel like in the past, I haven't seen some of these things come out at that time.
Okay.
Or they've gotten lost in the shuffle, and the uniformity has been tough.
Oh, you make a good point, because, you know, you want common language starting younger, working their way up, right, so the parents are engaged and understanding. I guess I'm just gonna throw, no one needs to come up, but if there's any K1 to 2 teachers, if they had any thoughts about, why the 4, 3, 2, 1, if anybody wanted to share?
Or maybe Barton, why anybody wants the AP, NI,
Well, right, or
Right.
if anybody, Claire Barton.
way.
Well, I think Barton is similar to the middle and high school.
Right.
And,
Such a MCAS.
again, our teachers have changed the report card several times since my time here at Chafee. But
Well, I mean, Barton will be close to the high school and the middle school based on the MCAS
The third and
assessment, right?
fourth
They're gonna give
grade
grades.
and up.
But it just, again, I think the 4, 3, 2, 1 represents the A, the advanced, proficient, needs improvement, warning. It meets the same language. Just, I think to Mrs. Griffin's point, is just having it aligned, so now, if I'm a second grade parent, no, my child hit a 4, okay, great, in this standard, and then they go to Barton, and it's like, oh, they got a P, well, what does that mean, you know, and I know everything's there, but just that common language, just something to consider.
Yeah, and it's just different at again, the middle school, it changes again, and it might be appropriate that it does, you know, so, there's just different scales all over the place.
I don't think in third and fourth, like, I don't think we have, yeah, I see your point, like, 4 is an A, 3 is a P, so,
Yeah,
what
just
people
common
look at.
language that's consistent. Sure, would you like to come forward? All
Don't
right,
bite
come
your tongue,
forward.
that's why you're here, we like that
come
you're
on
here.
in, Bonnie. Bring a chair, though.
I was really trying not to, but. All right, Bonnie Gilligan, grade 3 teacher. Many years ago, we put this report card together, myself, Mary Fruenthal, and Mr. Steve Barton. Yeah, Barton, right?
Baroni.
Baroni, excuse me, Baroni. I've been at many activities today, so, and we took a lot of models from different schools, and we thought that because of MCAS being so important and that parents needed to know that language, that was why we were using it. Since then, the language of MCAS have changed also. We have asked for several years, at least 4 years now, since Massachusetts has changed the curriculum, that we wanted to revamp the report card altogether. But we have never had that opportunity to be able to do that. My opinion, I don't think many parents even look at the report cards because there's not paper copies being sent home. We spent a lot of hours doing this. I know in the 3rd grade, there's about 65 areas that we have to grade by the end of the year. A lot of work. It's a lot of work. So I'm right with you, but the reason why why we did it the way we did it in grades 3 and 4 was just because of making the parents understand what an A, P, NI, and a W would be if they would see that on their MCAS. And I know we're just the opposite because we do the 1, 2, 3, and 4 in all of the behaviors and how the children are expected, and you do just the opposite. So I understand what you're saying, but as a whole, we would love to have a new report card.
Yeah, and I know there's not enough time in the day to do all the things that you folks do constantly. So it's like me stating here tonight, it would be great for us to work on it. I know I'm just adding one more burden to the shoulders of all of you. However, you know, maybe as a future goal, it's something that, you know,
We absolutely
work
need a
towards.
Together,
Yeah.
committee.
new report card because grades 3 and 4, they do not match with what we're teaching.
And again, you know, like, I think it's a good discussion to start with and talk about, because I know some are standard space report cards, and as we get to the middle school, high school, it changes to the letters and whatnot, so it might not be appropriate to have the same type of scales, but it might be beneficial. I don't know.
I think
But
so too.
you folks, ultimately,
So is
I'd like it to come from
this
them.
something that could be taken up in a committee early next year?
Yeah,
Like
we
one
can
of
talk,
our,
we can talk
like
about
our,
our administrative meetings too, and talk about it in August at one of our
Right.
meetings, yeah.
because
Thank
I don't know
you.
what the
Thank you so much.
contract ramifications are on that. I don't
Yeah.
know where the bargaining comes in, but.
Katie has been helpful in amending the report cards for us, but only minor things. Major things have to come in front of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's
Oh, we
something that
went-
the
yeah, I think
curriculum
we
and
need to look at
instruction
it.
committee takes on right at the beginning of the year.
Right.
Yeah, and again, Personally, I think
Yeah.
it's best if these things are driven from the school level and through the teachers and the administrators, and not necessarily from us at a district like curriculum meeting pushing it down, because my perspective is not the perspective of our educators that work with their kids every day. Like, they know what they need to communicate better than I do, you know, to our families, and every school district is different, so.
Oh, no, I mean,
Yeah.
their input is invaluable.
Right.
Obviously, you want them, you need a place to start the conversation.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know contractually if that's something that I don't know the language
I
in the
think if
contract
it's
about
maybe a
grading.
goal for the district, it's something that doesn't necessarily have to be a contractual thing, it's just something that people work on, because we all have different goals.
Right, so if we drive
Yeah.
it in a committee, you invite teachers into this committee, and then you bring it forward once you have a product, you know, but it can be put on the, I wrote it down and.
Or
I'm
school
sure I
council.
know.
You know, teachers, school council, something, things to reflect upon.
Yeah, remember, then you got 2 school councils you're going through, I think if you streamline it, but.
But,
All right,
yeah.
any other questions about the handbook?
For another day.
Comments?
Great. No, it looks great. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
We have to
moving
vote
on
on
to
that, Dave?
consent agenda, we do have meeting minutes of May 9th, regular meeting.
Wait, we're supposed to vote on that, Dave.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's right, we need to vote. Sorry
Before
about
we
that.
vote, you're not gonna like me, again. So there's things here in our handbook about promotion and retention of students in our policy here, and I wonder, page 18. So failure of 1 or 2 core subjects or poor performance in other core subjects, or any absenteeism of 18 days during the current school year may also result in retention, handled by the principal. I wonder if that's something that the district is still doing. It's not necessarily the practice in a lot of districts to be retaining students anymore. And in light of COVID and other things, I wonder how we're handling that, and it's just something that jumped off the page to me.
Yeah, I don't know how they're handling it in the building, but I know the word may gives us a little latitude there to say there are instances where you might want to consider retention. I think I agree with you, most of the time we don't.
Yeah.
Teachers are the ones who will say, child is or is not ready for the next grade. Kindergarten, parents have input in a retention. After that, it's 6 to 16, it's the building principals. And so we often have those conversations. Actually, they take place at this time of the year. Attendance is weighed heavily on that, even with COVID, because regardless of why the child wasn't there, the real issue is whether or not the child's ready for the next grade. Do not see a lot of retentions after kindergarten and first grade, though, I can promise you that.
Okay. Because it would be concerning in my eyes if we did see a lot, and I would want to kind of know why that was and what we could do to prevent that. That's,
Right. I think from a handbook standpoint, you have to have
Yeah.
language that allows you to for those cases, but
Correct.
That comes right from the state.
we
Yep.
can get data later on
yeah.
how often it's happening.
The may is the key word.
Yeah.
A kid could be hitting all of the standards, doing great, missed X amount of days, but we wouldn't retain that child because of the attendance. It would be one factor in many.
Right.
No, you're right.
All right, anything else?
I think I'm good. Sorry. Anybody
So
else?
as we all.
Sorry.
Let them go.
All right, so this item does need a vote, so we do
I'll
need
make
a
a
motion.
motion to accept the Chafee and Barton handbook as written.
I'll
We have a
second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, 5 yes. Handbook passes. We do have meeting minutes of May 9th. If you've had a chance to look at those, we do need to approve those.
Yeah, make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 9th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. We also have an out-of-state field trip, June 15th, to Mystic, Connecticut, grade 2. Trip approval form is in the packet. Any questions or comments regarding this?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the field trip.
We have a motion
I will second that.
and we have a second. Any discussion?
I think it's awesome that our kids are able to go on some field trips. It's great to see.
All right, call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
I'm a yes, 5 yes. Acceptance of donations. Mr. Ledoux, do you want to say anything about this, or do you just want me to read it and take a vote? Okay. So to the school committee from Justin Ledoux, business manager, acceptance of donations. Please vote to accept the below donations recently made to the Oxford Public Schools. Thank you. Do I need to read them all, or do I?
No, you don't have to.
No. All right, so all the donations are listed. Is there any, do we have any comments or questions? You can see the donor, the amount, and the purpose.
I'm gonna address this in my report.
Okay.
I'll comment on this.
I just think it's fantastic that there's so many generous people in our community. It's clearly evident that we're blessed to have people supporting the Oxford Public Schools all around us, so.
You know what, so let me, seeing you said that, let me just read in the donors. I think it's important.
Good idea.
St. Vincent's Hospital donated 4 hospital beds with a mattress, 4 side bureaus, 4 over-bed tables, 2 laundry and linen hampers, 2 waiting room chairs. IBG Photonics Corporation, $5,300 to go to the establishment of the Oxford High School Certified Nursing Assistant Program. Central Mass Auto Auction, $250. Paradise Givner Funeral Home, $50. Stearns Electric, $250. Brady Machine Tool Services, $100. Market Basket, $25 gift cards times 2. Dana Transport, $100. Attorney Charles Proctor, $50. Sterling Concrete, $250. JSK Financial Services Incorporated, $250. Technology.
I think that was 100.
100, excuse
Sorry.
me, thank you. Technology Learning Center, 100. Restco Corporation, $100. Chase Corporation, $100. Greenhouse Car Wash, $100. RMLC Logistics LLC, $100. Hydro Cutter Incorporated, $50. Laura S. Trotsky DMD, $50. Stutman Contracting Incorporated, $100. Mark Twombly Lee, Counselor at Law, $250. Marcia Valentine
Valente.
Valente, DMD PC, $250. North Oxford Mills, $100. Lavelle Systems, $100. Eastern Biomass LLC, $250. IPG Photonics, $1,000. East Coast Metal Roofing, $500. Loan in Isufi Incorporated, $100. Duchette and Associates Ltd., $500. BK Tree Service Incorporated, $250. South Oxford Finance Corp., $100. Farrar Auto Body, $100. And Wilson Language Training Corp., $250. So all those that I read are going to the Oxford High School Courtyard Project.
So I'll make a motion, we accept the donations as read.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Again, just very, very grateful for how generous people are to our community. That's outstanding.
Yes, I agree. Call for the vote, Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes.
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Acceptance of donations. Central Office, Business Office Report, Mr. Ledoux. That's his budget to actual report through April.
All right, thank you, Mr. Finuccioli, members of the committee. Part of your packet, you should have received the budget to actual report through April 30th, 2022. I don't have much to report since my last report in March. 2 areas we continue to watch, utilities and substitutes, especially this time of year. However, budgetarily, we appear to be okay in those 2 areas. One thing I did want to update the committee on was propane at Barton School. We originally budgeted $65,000 for that. We are now up to $90,000 in propane expenditures. That, as I had indicated last time, that propane has doubled in cost. So at this point in time, we have reached out to French River to see if we can lock in a fixed rate for propane going forward, so we do not know who that's going to be. However, we have reached out, and they have let us know that there'd be people bidding on this for propane. So I will certainly update the committee once we have some more news on that. Again, the goal is to lock in a fixed propane rate, so our budgets really aren't all over the place when it comes, we have these fluctuations in the market with utilities.
Can I just ask you a question along those lines, Justin, through the chair?
Yes.
I guess rumor is utilities, electricity is about to take off too. Do we have to plan somehow to lock
Locked in.
something in there, or is that something that is already locked in as far as our rates?
I had indicated to the committee last time that it was found that we were not part of the Oxford Aggregate Program for electricity.
Yeah.
We now are.
Okay.
I have yet to receive an invoice to confirm that, so I am, again, just monitoring that to make sure that we get the rate that we should have. As far as market goes for electricity, I can't really speak
Yeah.
to what's on the horizon for next year. After this year, it's been a roller coaster ride, so anything's possible. The big thing that I'm a little concerned about is food. We've seen increases in food for this year. However, we did go out to bid last, we got the bid, it was awarded last June, right, for food service. We did, business managers in this area, we did go to the Inspector General's office for an opinion on that, as the food started to increase slightly. And the Inspector General had ruled that they cannot change the prices. Once you bid on something, you're locked into that. So the next thing that we've had to deal with is just shortages. So we just straight up couldn't get it. They couldn't honor the price maybe in some instances, some vendors. However, next year I expect some these prices to be a lot higher to make up for any losses that these companies experienced this past year.
And similarly, can you remind me, if you know off the top of your head, where we are with our transportation contract? Because I'm expecting the next time we have to
For
do that.
fiscal '23 is the final year of our SPED contract, our SPED transportation contract with Vanpool, and we still have 2 years left with First Student. This is our first year with First Student, so we have 2 more years.
Okay.
So that's a great point, as the
Expecting that's gonna go up
cost of
too.
fuel is a little expensive right now.
That would be something that's in the contract though, right? That talks about,
Sometimes people have folks have a fuel escalation or de-escalation clause. We do not have that. So our price is flat. And it could go either way. If there's a significant decrease in the cost of fuel, you might get a savings. Or conversely, it could go, thankfully, we do not have that, so ours is locked in for the next 3 years.
And then another question
Yep.
for Justin through the chair. And correct me if I'm wrong. The town has you have to opt out for electricity, right?
Correct.
So did we get any follow-up that says how we opted out or why we were not included?
No, I don't have any information on that.
And did we share with the town how much, like, in savings we could have had if we were not, considering that we were not opted in automatically?
No, I
Have
haven't
we
that
had
conversation with
discussions with?
anybody. No. At this point in time, again, I'm just waiting for the newest bill to come in
Right.
so I can confirm that the rates are reflective. Because at this point in time, I'm just told that it should be all set, but I'm waiting to see.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know, like, how much did we lose because we weren't part of that program and,
I was curious who was reimbursing us too. Just saying.
yeah.
all right, Mr. Ledoux?
2 items that have come up that needed immediate attention. Refrigeration at Chafee School. We had a refrigerator, it died. I'll put it that way. The cost of repairs far exceeded the cost to simply purchase a new one. So we did replace 2 refrigerators, actually. One these are single door refrigerators in the kitchen. One at Chafee, one at Barton. We do have to replace the double door refrigerators at both schools, as all the equipment at those schools is over 20 years old from what I have for an inventory list. But I do want to update the committee that the cost of those 2 refrigerators, $7,000, will be paid for out of the school lunch revolving fund. And secondly, bleacher repairs. We've had Hussey Seating, our manufacturer of our bleachers, come out to Oxford High School to do a safety inspection report. and the news was not very good. The repairs that they're have recommended exceed well over $100,000. So at this point in time, we have asked for what is the bare minimum to do this, the needed safety repairs, and there's 4 phases of this that they're recommending. The first is 11,000 and just straight safety repairs. We've ordered that already as that's necessary. We cannot let safety go like that. The second part of this, which I may be bringing back to your next meeting, is $31,000 for the replacement of the plastic. If you've ever seen in the bleachers in the high school gym, a lot of the plastic's cracked, which is not unusual for that make and model from 2000 to 2003. So the manufacturer has recommended that we have all that replaced, but I will be coming back to the committee, I believe, at our next meeting to seek funding for that.
So that's at the high school?
Yes.
And how much does it cost to get new bleachers? Did you say it was $100,000 just to repair them? Did I hear that right?
You did.
So the recommended repairs is just over $100,000. The phase 3 of their recommendation is to outfit these with motors, so they automatically move in and out.
Not necessary. Sorry.
All right, let's just let him speak.
Do we have motors now, though?
Not in the bleachers,
Okay.
no. It's something we might want to look at down the road, but not something I'm going to recommend at this time.
So I'm assuming that is like that's like 60,000.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Plus a cost of electrician to run the lines to them.
So we're really looking realistically at 11 to start, and you're gonna come back to us with the 31 potential.
Correct. Yep.
Quick question. Right?
Yes.
19 years, is that the life expectancy of bleachers like that? Because you said 2003-ish?
Back in 2018, I had, I believe, John Lord and Company, another bleacher manufacturer out of Connecticut, come up to quote, to have new bleachers put in. He had indicated to me, the owner, that that brand that we bought, it's not unusual for that plastic to crack the way it has and for it to go bad. So it's my understanding that 20 years is pretty good.
We got it
Especially if
right.
you think about the thousands of people that have utilized these things. And,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'd say it's on par. In fact, it's beyond its life expectancy at this point.
All right.
I know back in 2016 with the roof project here at Oxford High, that capital project was kind of bundled together to include the bleachers. The funding ran out and the bleachers weren't able to be addressed. We've done minimal repairs over the years to kind of keep them going. But now, coming back from COVID, again, we had the manufacturer come out to get their recommendations, and that's where we're at.
How, through the chair, how old are our bleachers at the middle school? Because I feel like we replaced the bleacher, like fixed them and repaired them, and
I would have to look into that for you.
yeah, I just feel like
I
we
could-
did that not too long ago, and I know all the costs are escalating, but I wonder what the brand is, and like, I don't know. I'm
I'll
not
certainly
gonna put
research
her on
that
the
and get back to you. I don't want to misspeak and give you wrong
Right.
information. So that leading me to just my next comment. So the next meeting will have estimated year-end balances of everything that's left in our service and supply lines, and have some recommendations to the committee for items that maybe should be prioritized to, spend our year-end funds on. Bleachers is one of them.
We look forward to that. Thanks.
At this time, happy to answer any questions, if anybody has any questions.
Any questions, committee? Just a real general question. Where are we at with out-of-district tuition students? Are we in good shape as we end the year? Do we anticipate any potential costs?
Off the top of my head, I want to say we're just shy of $300,000 surplus in those two lines. That's a result of last year prepaying those tuitions. So what happens when you prepay those tuitions? It gives you that buffer. If you have a move-in, we had $300,000 that could address that. Again, one of our recommendations at the next meeting may be to prepay those tuitions again with that surplus that you see in those two lines. I believe there's a surplus of maybe $250 in the private at a day, and then maybe another $49,000 in the collaboratives.
Yeah, it's around 290, 243, yeah, 46. Okay.
So
So that was because we prepaid last year.
Correct. That is a surplus you see.
Yep.
Just to kind of add on to that, there's also about another $100,000 in sped tuition, another surplus in that, sped transportation. that at this point in time, it's due to changes in the IEPs or what have you. There's about $100,000 surplus in that line. I'm a little cautious with that. I don't want to go too much off topic, but we got to watch our MOE when it comes to the SPED grants. We have to maintain a certain level of funding locally. We can't just rely on our grants, so we have to be mindful of that. So.
Yep. All right, anything else from Mr. Ledoux? All right, thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Superintendent of Schools, personnel update.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone in the community who donated to support our courtyard project and the folks from Giving Gardens for their efforts with our students. While we are no longer working with Giving Gardens specifically, our students will continue to benefit from the community's donations and plant and work in beautifying the courtyard over the next few years. Mr. Pietro and his Career Up program have really benefited from the donations, done a great job. They've grown hundreds and hundreds of plants and had a wonderful experience, and we'll continue that as we go forward. So we really appreciate, as you all said and approved the donations, everything that the community gave to us is fantastic. I also wanted to thank IPG for the $5,300 to help start our CNA program. That will go towards mannequins and supplies for that program for our students, which we're excited about. Mrs. Grenette's doing a lot of the lifting, getting that program up off the ground. I want to thank Tim Murray, the head of the Worcester Chamber of Commerce. He connected me with Carolyn Jackson at St. Vincent's to get the beds and furniture donated. They were more than happy to do that, excited. There's a need for CNAs and nursing in general, as you know, in our community in central Massachusetts. So it was wonderful to see a lot of people help out and reach. I want to thank Mark Giles and Andrew Triano, who volunteered to go pick them up. We actually have the beds and the furniture in our basement right here in the building. So we're getting very excited. The next thing is to pick out the room and figure out all the little things and nuances that need to get that room set up. So we're very excited and we're moving along. But again, thank you to everybody at St. V's and IBG. We couldn't do it without them. So just wanted to share that appreciation. We're meeting with our administration teams regularly. We have another meeting tomorrow, looking towards next year. You will see the school improvement plans in June at our next meeting, as well as a lot of data and what we're going to do to impact learning next year. We're still collecting some of that for ELA and math. We're going to share all that out with you folks in June at our data and accountability meeting, and then again at the school committee meeting. So we're looking forward to that and how we're adjusting some of our ESSER plans. So we'll have that for you too. Full day preschool, checking with Mrs. Miller again today. We're now waiting deposits from peer model families. We continue to screen potential students. We have 4 committed peer model families as of today. We have 2 more that let us know today. They'll know by Friday if they're going to do full day or part day, half a day. And we have another family that we know about on Friday too, so we possibly could go to 7, but we're going to have to make a call in a week or so whether or not we're going to have enough families. So I'll let you know once I know. We're still hopeful that we'll have enough families to run a full day. If we don't, then we'll try to build up some steam and try again next year. But we're still on the fence right now. I wish I had a more firm answer, but I just don't. We're still trying. We're still at 4. But I'll update you as we go. We'd still love to have that program, but we'll see. I just want the community to know that both the middle school and high school will offer summer school programs this summer for kids that need to finish and make up coursework. We had a lot of kids attend summer school last year. I know we had over 100 at the high school. Counselors will be reaching out to families soon to get kids in here. We really want to keep kids moving forward. We'll be spending some of our ESSER funds on that. We'll also have some ESSER camp stuff that we did the last summer that I'll propose to you in the next meeting, so some of the stuff will be familiar. But I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. We'll also be offering free lunches all summer at the high school as part of a federal program. The only thing this summer is you used to be able to grab and go and take your lunches and you could leave. Part of the program is this year you have to eat them in the cafeteria. So, but we will have them for the kids in summer school. Will be great. They can just go grab them at the end of summer school. Middle school kids can come over. But it's open to anybody in the community that's 18 years or younger can have a free lunch. But you have to eat it. You have to come into the cafeteria and eat it in the cafeteria. Those are the rules. I have a personnel update. We are close to finalizing selection for the Director of Student Services and Special Education. The Principal Search Committee for the high school has interviewed 5 applicants who they felt met the qualifications and criteria for the high school. 3 candidates have been moved forward for another round of interviews, which will be conducted this week, in which they will each visit the high school for a half day and get to meet and be interviewed by teachers, students, and parents and caregivers as well. 2 will come in on Wednesday and 1 on Friday, and that's our next round for that. And then finally, I had a wonderful time last week. Thursday night, got to go to the sports banquet for the first time. It was awesome to see so many student athletes get recognized. You know, just amazing what these kids have done over the course of their career. Was wonderful to see and to meet their families and see them get recognized. And then the prom Friday night, Had 168 students who couldn't have been better behaved. They were awesome. It's just great kids. They looked amazing. It was at Cyprian Keys, beautiful place. There was a nice, you could walk out on the back porch. I wish I'd brought my golf clubs with me. I could have gotten some short game work in. But the kids were great. I think they had a great time. They were wonderful. It was nice to see staff mixing around with them. Had a wonderful time also. And our kids danced the entire time. The DJ, I guess, told several of the staff he'd never seen kids dance that long. But it was great. It was wonderful to be with the kids that long and see them in a positive light. And we didn't realize, you're there, and these kids, most of them, 90% of them, had not been to a prom.
Yeah.
So, because of COVID. So it was kind of a neat thing to see. So it was great. The kids were great. It was a wonderful night. So just wanted to share that.
Great, awesome. Any questions or comments for the superintendent? Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
Yeah.
Burke.
Mike, do we have, I don't work in high school, how does the selection of classes go? Do we know what the student interest is in our 3 new programs?
Yes, we do. We have, for the early childhood education, I believe we have, don't hold me to this, but this was about a week ago, I think. 22 for early childhood. I believe we have 22 signed up for CNA, and we have 15 for fire science.
Awesome.
I believe is what we had is about a week ago.
What was the number we could take for fire science? Wasn't it somewhere around there?
It's about 15. Fire science is about perfect. CNA, the max is about 15, 16 because of the beds and the size of the room and everything we're
Yep.
supposed to have for a program. I think you can take 20 and 22 in early childhood.
Okay.
So we're going to work on that. And then you have to put it into the schedule. You see which kids can fit into the
Gotta work.
classes.
Yeah.
So we got a ways to go, but high school and middle school are both already working on their schedules
Yep.
to have those done and try to facilitate as many kids as possible into those programs.
But the interest is there, so that's awesome.
The interest is there, which is great. That's the yes, that's the first hurdle. Yes.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for superintendent? Yes, Mrs. Forbes.
Just a quick update if we could on the preschool situation, the full day preschool.
Yes.
So is there an update?
He did.
I just gave you one.
Oh, wait, how did I miss that? I'm
Oh.
Just
sorry.
with the
What's
numbers.
the number?
So we have 4 peer model families committed,
4, okay.
and we were waiting to hear. We should hear from 3 other families by the end of school day Friday.
Sorry about that.
So we need about another week to decide on that.
All right, thank you.
So I'll know in about a week. Hopefully we'll have good numbers.
Thanks.
No,
Sorry about that.
Thinking of something else, I guess.
it's getting
Sorry.
warm up here, don't worry about it.
It is good.
Anything else for the superintendent? Yes, Mrs. Griffin?
So it's more of I spoke to our superintendent about putting some advertisements out on our boards, our electronic board, potentially with the town, and potentially here about our preschool program. I know that we did extensive mailings to people in the community, and I think that's fantastic, but I also made the point that people are moving in every day. Houses are selling, people we may have just not reached out to. So if we can put it publicly in a lot of places, that might help us, get more numbers. I personally would love to see that preschool program run for my selfish interest. Full disclosure, I do have a little one that I'm super excited about coming here, but I have been pressuring our poor superintendent because in good conscience, I can't support a program that's not gonna have enough interest because it's a huge expense. So that's something that's making me nervous because I'd love to see the future for our little people here. Again, selfishly for my child too. But at the moment, I shared with our superintendent that I don't feel comfortable with such low enrollment, seeing it happen, which really upsets me. So if we can get the word out like yesterday, I would feel better about putting it on those signs. And then just to kind of update the committee, something that I did speak to the superintendent about, there was a request if the preschool program is gonna run that was made, and I think it was made to all of us, maybe individually, because I don't know, we don't communicate outside this meeting, so I'm bringing it up publicly because I know it was asked of me, and I want to make sure that it's been asked of all of us. And it might have just been because of the warrant process, but potential preschool furniture, that there's a need, if it runs, for approximately $4,500, correct me if I'm wrong. And I know our superintendent has been scouring the buildings with our administrative team, and I've gotten the feedback that there is no preschool furniture that's available because the stuff that we have is being used to its full capacity. And that spurred me to request of our superintendent an inventory of supplies. And bless you, teachers, not to put an undue burden on your shoulders, but as a common practice in a lot of districts, especially one that I'm familiar with, I don't know, you guys could speak about your districts. One thing that we do is a quick Google form every year, and we type in at the end, as our closing, as we're turning stuff in, how many desks are in our room, how many chairs are in our room, you know, how many file cabinets, whatever. As teachers, we have an opportunity to put, I would love to see this replaced in my room. I would love to see this repaired in my room. I would, you know, and we're able to kind of take a full inventory of what's there, what needs to be fixed, what would we love in a wish list year type of a thing, if something could fall from the sky. Usually that doesn't happen in education, but if it could. And then we'd have a better handle on what we have in our community. I feel personally, and I could be completely mistaken, that we don't have a good handle right now of what we have. And the reason I'm sharing that concern is last year I remember having a conversation, and you folks can chime in if you want, about us as a committee, and we were told that we had so much furniture that they wanted us to get rid of it. And we were having a hard time storing it. And I remember sitting at this table being told, even though I asked 100 different ways, are you sure we're gonna get rid of this? Are you sure it needs to go? Are you sure? And I kept hearing, yep, we don't need it. Yep, it should be getting rid of. Yep, it's not in the best condition. And now I'm hearing we need furniture. And again, it might have not been preschool furniture, right? It could have been something else. But I want to be the very best steward of what we have for resources. So I'm advocating before the end of the year that there is an inventory, a Google form. You know, anybody that has a best practice that they want to share with the district, I think that would be awesome. I might share something too. I feel like sometimes I cause more work, but the purpose behind it is to save us more money. So that's that. And another concern that I brought up, if I may.
Sure.
I have been the big push for the iStation data to be presented. I know our superintendent has had a ridiculous amount of stuff on his plate, and he's working on getting that information to us, but crunching the numbers for the cost of iStation. I've been reflecting, and again, it could be a topic that's at a discussion at our subcommittee, but I am concerned with the amount of money that we're putting, even though it was a grant. This time, correct me if I'm wrong, it's gonna be absorbed into our budget. And I think it's approximately 28,000. Mr. Ledoux could correct me if I'm wrong. We had map testing in the past. I brought up with the superintendent that our teachers were comfortable with that, or a lot of them had some experience versus iStation. I want to see us using whatever data we capture every step along the way, and everybody owning it. And I am concerned. So I just want to bring that to light publicly, that I'm concerned we're investing a lot. I'm concerned about the data. I'm concerned about transparency of said data. I wonder if map testing might be the best thing or might not. It's, I guess, a conversation more for our superintendent and the admin team. I just want to make sure we're spending our dollars wisely and getting
I
the
think this
best.
is absolutely something we should discuss at the Data and Accountability Subcommittee
Yeah.
meeting, and then we can absolutely continue that discussion at the next school committee meeting.
That would be
I think
awesome.
we have absolutely, I think we've all asked from transparency from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think we'll share a lot of that, not only what the data tells us at that meeting, but also what our plans are for next year. So,
That would be awesome. So I think that's it for me.
All right, thank you. Well, you did have the hires on here. I don't know if you mentioned, did you want to publicly
Yes.
say those, retirement
Yes.
or left and hired? I didn't know if you wanted to.
yes. Yes, and also our new hires, thank you. Louise Chadbourne is our new substitute educare aide, district-wide, and Abigail Kosky is our new substitute teacher.
Well, looks like Louise exited, looks like.
Oh, I'm sorry, Louise
Abigail.
Chadbourne exited, I apologize. I read that wrong.
No, it's okay. All right, thank you. Subcommittee reports, policy committee. I know we do have 1, 2, 3, 4 policies we need to vote on. I don't know if Mr. Phillips wants to come forward, just in case we have any, members have any clarifying questions for you, but I'll turn it over to Mrs. Griffin, who is the chair of our policy committee.
So, and I might go back and forth to you, because poor Mr. Canocchioli knows that at our last meeting, I was dealing with many sick people in my family and kind of exited towards the end of our meeting. But we have the fragrance-free policy here, and it was, looks like it was struck out of our manual, and I cannot recall why. Help me, because I
Yeah,
feel like I
it's
missed
just-
this.
I mean,
Was
it
this
was-
put into our student handbooks, or?
No, it was something that was brought to the attention back in 2013, and I think it didn't get reviewed again until 2018, and we didn't see it in anyone else's policy, really, anywhere. MASC doesn't have it anywhere, so we got rid of the policy.
Okay.
The recommendation is to get rid of the policy.
All right, and I just don't recall this discussion, maybe
Yeah,
because
you might- yeah, I don't
I
think
think
you
I
might
might have exited before this, and I apologize to everybody, so, so something to think about if you want to eliminate the fragrance-free policy.
Okay, do you want to take one at a time?
Sure.
All right.
So any
Is there any
discussion?
discussion on the fragrance policy, ADFA? So we would need a motion to eliminate this.
I'll make a motion to eliminate that policy.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Cook? Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Number yes, 5 yes. ADFA is taken out of the policy handbook. All right, Mrs. Griffin, you're up still.
All right, and then we have empowered digital user policy, and Mr. Phillips can speak to that maybe. It would probably be best coming from you, because all of your wisdom to inform us, but this is, you used a special term. This is more of a,
So it's
Help
the
me out.
empowered. So thank you. I can speak a little bit to it. So our current policy, which was Ijndc, was the acceptable use policy, which I think the committee had voted a few meetings ago to accept. One thing, it was punitive in the way it was written. You know, users should do this, should not do this. We're seeing more districts move toward more of an empowered user or responsible user policy. So this is coming straight from MASC, the empowered digital use policy, which would replace our acceptable use policy, which is typically in our mandated training and school handbooks.
and then we have an internet publication policy.
And that's similar too, where this is coming from MASC. So it just basically replaced the acceptable use policy, which used to be IJNDB, IJNDC, and so on. So these are all just coming from MASC, with some modifications that the committee had made, the subcommittee had made.
And I guess just a question that I have publicly for this, the student photographs, is that an opt-in or opt-out?
So it's an opt-out, and that's we typically do it at a registration, where the student will opt out, and also in the handbook.
Does that have to be done yearly, or is that just registration?
So most handbooks have, I think all the handbooks have it, so it's done annually.
Okay.
So the schools typically maintain a list of the students who were not allowed to be
So that
photographed.
should be an annual thing.
Yep.
All right, so let's pause on those two. Oh, question, Mr. Burke?
Yeah, just a question, Katie, on IJNDB, the Empowered Digital Use Policy. I think it's the second sentence in that top paragraph, just says, to that end, the district provides ongoing student instruction that develops digital citizenship skill sets for using technology as a tool. Can you just give me a kind of a brief rundown of what that instruction looks like and at what grades or stages that's happening?
Yeah, so we're using tech K through 12 now. Our kindergarten kids are on Chromebooks. So in terms of where it's done in each grade, it's not really formalized because we don't really have a technology class per se in the younger grades. But as the teachers go through that using technology in a day-to-day, and they do have library too, that's typically where we'll see that.
Yep.
At the younger grades. Then as they get towards the middle and high school, then they'll become more responsible in terms of just your general class, in terms of teacher, the modifications they'll make in the class to make sure that they're following those protocol. We do have, by law, we do have to monitor the students, so we have to filter everything. And we've talked a little bit about like BART that we have in where something will get flagged if a student's looking at inappropriate or sending inappropriate messages and so on. And typically that will then get pushed up to the administration in each building.
Okay. But as far as something for digital citizenship instruction,
Yeah.
we have that in place. That's not, we're putting it in a policy, just to make sure it's something that's
Yeah. It's
out
for the
there
younger
and in
grades
place.
for sure. Definitely, it's and then in the tech classes and
Thanks.
All right, so before you go any further, I mean, we've gone over 2 policies. Do you want to,
Waive the second reading, and if people are comfortable with that.
we really haven't even done a first reading.
Read
Wanna
the
read?
first reading, thank you.
Do you want to read the first
I'd be happy to if you want.
IJNDB?
Sure. So IJNDB, Empowered Digital Use Policy. So purpose, the school committee recognizes the need for students to be prepared to contribute to, excel in a connected global community. To that end, the district provides ongoing student instruction that develops digital citizenship skill sets for using technology as a tool. Information and communication technology are an integrated part of our curriculum across subjects and grades in developmentally appropriate ways and are aligned with the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks and standards, including seeking knowledge and understanding, thinking critically and problem solving, listening, communicating, and interacting effectively and engaging and competing in global environments. Availability. The superintendent or designee shall implement, monitor, and evaluate the district's system/network for instructional and administrative purposes. All users shall acknowledge that they understand that using digital devices, whether personal or school-owned, and the school district network is a privilege, and when using them in accordance with the school district guidelines, they will retain that privilege. The superintendent or designee should develop and implement administrative guidelines, regulations, procedures, and user agreements consistent with the law and policy, which shall include but not be limited to the following. Digital device, software, and networks shall be used in school for educational purposes and activities. All individuals' personnel information, including home/mobile phone numbers, mailing addresses, and passwords, and that of others, shall be kept private. Individuals will show respect for themselves and others when using technology, including social media. Users should give acknowledgement to others for their ideas and work. Users shall report inappropriate use of technology immediately. These procedures shall be reviewed annually by district administration together with students, teachers, and shall provide a springboard for teaching and learning around topics such as internet safety, digital citizenship, and ethical use of technology. Source MASC 2015, and then it might be adopted this evening, May 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, Mrs. Griffin. So we do need a motion to adopt this if we want to waive the second reading, or we can hold it till next meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept this as written and waive the second reading.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Cook? Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. IJNDB passes. Next one, do you want to read that, or do you want to have someone else read it?
It's fine, I'll read it. So it's IJNDC Internet Publication. Purpose. The school district has established a district-wide webpage that links users to web pages for the district's individual schools. The school district maintains these web pages for educational purposes only in furtherance of educational mission of the school district. All published pages and corresponding links to other sites must relate to the district's educational mission. Section 2, supervision and approval of web pages. The superintendent or his/her designee will oversee the school district's web page and maintain the web pages in a manner consistent with the policy and the school district's access to digital resource policy. The superintendent or his/her designee must approve all links from the district web page to other sites on the internet and will ensure that the links are related to the district's educational mission. Staff members may publish web pages related to their class projects or courses on their school website. All published staff web pages and corresponding links to other sites must relate to the district's educational mission. Student or staff work, example, voice, likeness, quotes, written material, musical pieces, and graphic or other artwork must be published on the district's webpage. May be published on the district's webpage as detailed below. Thank you, Ms. Forbes. Section 3, content standards. All web page materials are expected to be accurate, grammatically correct, and free of spelling errors. Students' work may deviate from this standard depending upon the age and grade level of the student. Web pages should be well organized and professional in appearance. Web pages must not contain copyrighted or trademarked materials belonging to others unless written permission to display such materials has been obtained from the owner and the owner is credited on the school's web page. Section 4, safety precautions. Section 4A, in general, identifying information about students such as first and last names, personal phone numbers, or home addresses will not be published. First names and the first letter of students' last names may be used when appropriate, where appropriate. Section 4, safety precautions. B, student photographs. Student photographs may be published only with the consent of students' parents or guardians. Student photographs will not be accompanied by identifying information about the student. Section C, student work. Student work, example, voice, likeness, quotes, written material, musical pieces, graphic, or other artwork may be published only when the content of students' parents, only with the consent, of students' parents or guardian. Section D, staff photographs, identifying information, and work. Staff work, example, voice, likeness, quotes, written material, musical pieces, and graphic or other artwork may be published only with the staff member's consent. Source, MASC 2015. If adopted, it would be adopted this evening, May 23rd, 2022.
So, just one comment on that. So one thing that was brought forward was, so for staff photographs, we're currently not having the staff sign off. So if we are gonna make this policy, it would have to change how we do, like, publishing staff photos and their information. So that's a tough question for me in terms of what we'd wanna do as a district. So I don't know if it's something we'd wanna hold on, or if it's some, to have further discussion, or, what the committee feels comfortable doing tonight.
Committee?
Is there a recommendation at all? Was that discussed? Is it just like the students, there'd be a form that you would fill out to say, I don't want mine used, or?
Yeah, that would just have to be, it would have to be something like that, yeah, where they'd have to sign off every year. But then someone would have to go in and make sure that who didn't sign off, who did sign off.
Do you currently have the students sign every year, or just when they register?
Yeah, in the office, yeah, so they do it at the handbook level. So they'll sign the handbook to say if they're gonna opt out.
For the photograph use
Yeah.
every year?
Yeah.
So it's an opt-out for students. Would it be an opt-out for faculty?
We could, yeah, but we'd have to figure out some way to figure out who was opting out. And it could be part of the mandated training or some other format like that, but we just have to have somebody who's gonna be overseeing that. So.
So I would suggest we just hold this one until we have kind of a firm plan and answer on how we would do that, if we're gonna leave that in there.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Is that to the liking of the committee?
Yep.
All right, so we will hold that one. Thank you, Mr. Burke.
And that is all.
Here's one more
Oh,
first.
there's one more.
One more.
Oh, wishful thinking. Yeah, please. I give up.
So the social networking policy, that's the one we left out.
Yeah.
So policy IJNDD, social networking policy.
See, I saw it all crossed out and I
Yeah.
was thinking.
So we are replacing what is currently there with the following. The superintendent and building principals will annually remind staff members and orient new staff members concerning the importance of maintaining proper decorum in the online digital world as well as in person. Employees must conduct themselves in ways that do not distract from or disrupt the educational process. The orientation and reminders will give special emphasis to 1. Improper fraternization with students using social media or other electronic means. A. Teachers may not friend or follow current students on social media. B. All contact with students shall be directly related to class, team, or student organization activities in which the individual staff member and student are involved. C, team, class, or student organization pages, accounts, or groups will be created only in conjunction with the teacher, coach, or faculty advisor. All groups must include the appropriate administrator as a member. D, all contact and messages by teachers, faculty advisors, and coaches shall be sent to all class, club, or team members, except for messages directly related to an individual student regarding attendance, medical, or academic privacy matters. E, teachers, coaches, and faculty advisors who provide their private contact information to students shall notify the appropriate building administrator and provide the same contact information to him/her. F, an inappropriate contact via phone or electronic device is prohibited. Number 2, inappropriateness of posting items with sexual content. Number 3, inappropriateness of posting items exhibiting or advocating use of drugs and alcohol. Number 4, examples of inappropriate behavior from other districts as behavior to avoid. Number 5, monitoring and penalties for improper use of district computers and technology. Number 6, the possible penalties, including dismissal from employment for failure to exercise good judgment in online conduct or electronic contact with students. The superintendent or designee may periodically conduct internet searches to see if teachers have posted inappropriate materials online. When inappropriate use of computers and websites is discovered, the building principals and superintendent will promptly bring that inappropriate use to the attention of the staff member and may consider and apply disciplinary action up to and including termination. And we're looking for a revision to be adopted very possibly.
Comments, questions from the committee? Anything you want to add, Mr. Phillips?
No, this is the most revised version from MASC that we
So would anybody like to make a motion to approve
I'm going to make a motion to approve.
All right.
IJ?
Wait a second, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion to approve this policy waiving the second reading. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, any more discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Passes. I do want to, I went back just to check the handbook, and I want to thank whoever was on top of this, but well, two things. The elementary handbook, I really should have said that while they were here, but I really like how they were calling it the Family Student Handbook. I really think that's awesome. I like referring to families instead of parents, guardians, I mean, families. So I like that, so thank you. And then the parent, well, as I say, that parent acknowledgement on student use. But access to digital resources, empowered digital use. I'm assuming that was you, Helen, so thank you for having that updated language in there, so that handbooks are aligning with the policies, so thank you. All right, where are we at? Personnel and negotiations update?
Ongoing. We're ongoing with OEA, and we are going to be ongoing with clerical, correct, Helen?
Ongoing OEA and clerical? Okay. School Buildings and Safety Subcommittee, Ms. Cook, any updates?
Turn it over to you.
Yeah, no, we don't have any updates currently. Yeah. But maybe next year, if we're on this committee, we can look to maybe do a mid-year walkthrough and, I think.
Maybe
we need
the inventory process can be part of that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shameless plug.
So, yes.
Thank you, Cory.
So we'll shift you to that committee.
I would.
All right, District Accountability and Curriculum, Mr. Burke and Mrs. Griffin, it sounds like you have a meeting next week?
June 7th.
June 7th.
7th. And Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Mrs. Forbes and Ms. Cook.
Yep, we met last Wednesday. We had 2 visitors, which was nice. One who may be becoming a new member, which would be exciting. We've had a lot of discussion about getting some of this information, most especially with transgender individuals, to the police and the EMTs, which is not presently being done as training for them. Jeremy Gurnett has put that forth to the police department for next year's training, and we're hoping that the fire department will also get that on their agenda so that there's appropriate use of language and pronouns, etc. We are also trying to focus right now on religion. We are looking to have some guest speakers come. We only have one more meeting left. It is the second Wednesday of June, which I don't know the date off the top of my head, I apologize. And we're looking to have guest speakers come in to talk to us about, for example, Ramadan was brought to our attention. There are a lot of parameters around students eating and drinking during a school day, and we want to be sure that we are culturally sensitive to students and their families to ensure that we're not putting a child in a predicament because we didn't know. So if anybody out in the community or anybody who's here with us tonight has any connections with any of the religious organizations, either in our area or not, we don't, we talked a lot about what was available. And what was not available, there is no synagogue in Oxford, so if anybody could hook me up with somebody, I would really appreciate that. And we're gonna look to perhaps start, if we can get it done for June. If not, we'll put that forward to start off in the fall with our DEI committee. And we are always looking for new members. We're looking for some diversity in the people who are in our group. So anybody who would like to join, we would love to have more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Forbes. All right, warrant report, Mrs. Griffin.
So I have a warrant report this evening for May 23rd, 2022. I signed a payroll warrant dated May 9th, 2022 for $680,686.54. An accounts payable warrant dated May 17th, 2022 for $232,385.81. And an accounts payable warrant for dated May 24th, 2022 for $54,816.86. That's all.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Griffin. Members forum, before we go around individually, we have nominees for Community Service Award. Is that just for a discussion point, Helen, or?
Yeah, there were no.
We had no nominees this month? Okay. So maybe we can revisit next year, maybe condense them, maybe do them quarterly or something, or whatever. Okay. And then, scheduled coffee and conversation.
That was something you had.
Yeah, I put on. Do we want to try to do one more end of the year?
Probably.
Maybe coffee, conversation, and maybe running under the sprinkler, what do you call that, splash pad? You want to try to do something? Maybe I can throw some dates out there, or does anybody have any dates in mind? Yeah, sometime in June. Why don't you
Yeah,
email
no,
me
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, why don't you email me some dates that work, and maybe I'll bring a couple to the meeting on,
Are we looking at evening or Saturday?
maybe
It's a tough time of year for evenings, I think, with all
yeah,
the
like
events.
like a quick Saturday.
Okay,
We'll hit a,
Saturday morning.
yeah, throw some dates that work, and we can, coordinate with the town again. I thought it was great over there.
Perfect.
All right, members forum, Ms. Cook.
I wanted to congratulate Coach Richards on his 200th win. That's very exciting. And most of the teachers are here, but thank you for all your hard work that you do all year, because I personally don't know how hard it is, but I appreciate all my teachers throughout my entire school career, so thank you for all your hard work always.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. Mrs. Forbes.
I just wanted to say thank you for the great presentation by Mrs. Rodier's first grade class. Like Dave said earlier, it's like probably one of the best things we get over here on the school committee every year, and I really look forward to that. Congratulations, Dave, on your re-election to the school committee. Thank you to Dave, Corey, and Pal for accepting their roles again on the board here. And thank you to all the donors who are helping us out with all the projects that we've got going on. Thank you to all the staff for being here tonight. We love having people at our at our meetings, I'm sorry. And again, thank you to Molly Raymond for all that she's done for us. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mrs. Forbes. Excellent. Mrs. Griffin.
All right, so I might have missed this, but I don't know if you asked about policy subcommittee. I know we gave that presentation on the policies.
Oh, yeah, you did
Our
those,
next meeting
yeah.
is this Thursday, May 26th. Then, I'm sorry, bad news.
Oh.
He's got a lot of meetings to go to. He's got to be with me again, so that's probably that phase. And then warrant signing, we didn't discuss this. What?
That's the secretary's job. You took that. I
Okay,
asked.
I'm just asking. I just want to
No, do you want-
document it. I would be happy to continue. I just didn't want to slight anybody. If anybody was eager to review warrants, no. I mean, I will continue to take on that. But I wanted to I know normally we take care of this as business, and I just didn't want to
Yeah, no, I apologize. That's my fault. I really appreciate you bringing that up,
No,
and
I
I
don't
know you
know.
do your due diligence for us as a
probably
committee.
a little bit too much. Poor Justin and our poor superintendent and everybody else that puts anything through a warrant is probably, I look at them a lot. So speaking about the warrants, I'm going to say it because this is an opportunity to bring up things that I'd like to discuss, and I have begged for Mr. Lucas's ear about this. I personally would like to see some new procedures as far as 2411, 2410 budgets. every year, you know, we process things, but it's kind of like on this ongoing, as people need things, and our warrants are just like, you know, it's very fluid and continuous, which is probably needed at times.
Could you just explain the 2410,
So
2411?
consumable and non-consumable items that teachers would use that our principals normally, they hold those purse strings and they have their set budget and they allow things to kind of come through. And this has just been my observation that, you know, has happened in this district. Our principals on an ongoing basis try to take care of their teachers amazingly and give them everything that they need. But I have observed that things kind of come in through the budget at all different times, and it's hard for me to necessarily know, like, where is this coming from? What school is this from? Who needs this? Why is this needed? Is this, you know, we're trying to dot every I and cross every T to make sure that we're spending money appropriately, consistently. And it would give me more peace if I knew that there was kind of a timeline and a procedure, and teachers kind of had, or the principal had like a designated pot for like, this is what my teachers get for certain expenditures for like budgetary supplies. If there was a consistency, like everybody gets a certain, you know, classroom supplies, this much money. Or new books this year, this much money. Not necessarily that we're gonna always have those fixed numbers, because some years the numbers will change and fluctuate depending on what our budget has. But I would personally like kind of more of a system that things come at a certain time for those things, and I think it's more managed like that, maybe at the high school through different departments, but in the elementary schools and the middle school, I think, this is just my impression, that it's more loose and it's more flexible. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, that was the practice for years here, but I think personally, we could have kind of a tighter system. So that's one thing I'm advocating for. So next year, I know part of our goals, we're working on these things. That's, you know, it's only taken me since 2014 to like finally advocate for this, but I really feel that that's a direction we need to go. And I would like something that comes to us as a committee where our teachers say, and anybody else or admin team or whatever, this is what I want for my classroom and this is why, and a little bit of a justification. Because when we sit here and we go through things, like we try to approve everything, but I would really, really like a little bit of documentation to say, like, if we have to make something a priority, because we do at times, things are very, very tight, I can say, like, well, this is essential for this teacher's classroom. They've been waiting for this amount of years for this. Or they really need this because this supports that program. Or this is kind of a nicety and it's not really needed, but we really do want to kind of get it. Maybe we can get it through a grant. Maybe we could put a teacher in contact with one of the cultural grants or something else. That being said, it's a lot of work. So it's just a vision I have.
All right,
That's all, and I've said enough. Thank you.
Mr. Burke?
I want to start by thanking Mrs. Rodier and her first grade class and all the parents who came out and brought their kids out tonight. That was a fantastic presentation. A lot of fun. Thank the OEA staff for being out here tonight and voicing their concerns, and look forward to working with you. I have been an advocate for our arts and music programs since I got here on the board. I'm a little disappointed. I'm looking at the calendar on the website. There's no mention of the concerts coming up. I checked the marquee on my way in. I did not see any mention of the concerts coming up. So I'm hoping we can get that fixed and we can get the word out that we have concerts coming up.
It's an art show too.
Yeah.
An art show, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burke. Yeah, you know, thank you again, as my committee members have said, to Mrs. Rodier and the first graders and the families. What an awesome evening. So thank you for coming out. I do want to wish, because our next meeting is after graduation, so I do want to wish the class of 2020 good luck. Enjoy your last days at Oxford High School. Finish strong. Finish incident-free. Let's have a really great end of your year. I had the privilege of being your principal for, I believe, 2 years at the middle school. It was a really great class, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all June 3rd, hopefully out on the field with nice weather. I also do want to thank the teachers for coming out. I look out in the audience and I see a lot of you that I know personally, and and I know the work that you put in each and every day. You know, I really hope that we can come to an agreement that fits everybody's need. Ultimately, we have to do what's best for kids and what's fiscally responsible, so I have faith in our negotiation committee and your negotiation committee that we can come to an understanding. So I really appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you to the voters of Oxford for re-electing me. It's not too hard to lose an election when you're unopposed, but I do appreciate everybody who came out, who voted for me. It's been a privilege to be on this board the last 3 years, and I've said it before, I felt like I had a lot of unfinished work out here in Oxford. Not by my doing, I had to leave, but I'm really glad that I can have a voice on this committee and hopefully make it a small difference at some point. So I thank you to the voters. I also want to congratulate all the other elected officials. There seems to be potentially some new members on the select board, and I'm just really excited to see what some fresh new energy can bring into this town. So congratulations to all of the new elected officials in town. And I think that is it for me. We do have, I do want to open up the floor for final public comments. We still have several members here. If anybody would like to come up and make a public comment. All right, seeing and hearing none, we will close the floor for public comment. Future business, any topics for future agendas? I know we jotted a few things down tonight. If you have anything else, please email that to me by the end of next week so we can get that agenda going. Our next regular meeting will be June 13th, 2022. And at this point, we are...
One more thing.
Oh, yes.
Future business.
Yep.
I don't recall us having our sped pack present or come for years. I would just love to give them a voice. I know we try to give our PTO a voice too, and I don't recall them coming this year. Of course, they could have come, and I just but the year's ending, and I don't remember giving the PTO an opportunity to reach out to parents, and I don't remember doing that with our sped pack. And I might be leaving somebody else out, and if I am, I apologize.
I would defer to Helen. I mean, I know they normally are, but I know for a few years with COVID.
Mostly because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can get them on in the fall again.
That would be great. And then I don't know if there's a way that we could, before then too. Like if anybody needs to
Could we
rally
reach
the
out-
troops
Could we
for
reach
the
out
fall.
to CPAC and maybe have them at least come?
Sure, your next meeting is jam-packed.
Is it?
Right.
A lot.
We do.
Maybe July?
July.
I don't know that many PTO members will want to come up.
They won't want to come.
No, I
July.
would respectfully defer the PTO to the fall. I just CPAC. I think if we can reach out to them, I think
Yeah.
that would be good to close the year out.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, good point. So the school committee will enter executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 38, subsection 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Oxford Education Association and to discuss ongoing litigation in connection with an ongoing labor dispute with a former employee, as is necessary to protect the position of the public body, and also pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, subsection 21A2, to conduct a strategy session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, Director of Student Services and Special Education. The school committee will exit executive session and adjourn the public meeting without conducting any other business. So we do need a motion to go into executive session.
Make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Cook? Mrs. Forbes?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
I am yes. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great night, everybody.